بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم للرجال نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون وللنساء نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون مما قل منه أو كثر نصيبا مفروضا صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمي الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's given us the tawfiq to remember Him and to learn about our deen. Very important aspect, area of our deen regarding mirath and inheritance in Islam. Continuing from where we left off from last week, from this masterpiece work of Hadrat Shaykh al-Hadith Mawlānā Sājid Irshād, barakātuhum. We have reached this part where if a person was to die, if somebody was to die, as we would say that the deceased person, what can be drawn from his estate. So somebody has passed away, he's left behind him some money. From how much of that money can we use for what reason? So this is a very important aspect of deen. Sometimes people, they have thousands of money, they pass away, the children take their share and finished. We don't know what to do with that money, where it goes, how it was meant to be utilized properly, what to do with father's money. He had lands in Pakistan, for example. He had houses in this area, that area. He passed away. There's nothing written. What do we do? Causes big problems later on. People fight. People go against each other. There is enmity, problems, arguments, and these continue for many, many years. So from Shariat we learn, when somebody passes away, when somebody dies, so there's a few things that have to be done with the dead person's money first. So the first thing is, you draw from his estate the funeral expenses. So when somebody, let's say for example, we give a name just as an example, somebody called Abdul Rahman. Abdul Rahman passed away. Now you have to do his janaza, his ghusl, all the equipment for his ghusl, shroud, kafan, burial, transportation to the qabristan, the car, the undertaker, how to bury him, the material used, which qabristan, all of these expenses, which money do you use? So Sharia tells us this has to be used from that person who was passed away, his money. So this is called the first aspect, the funeral expenses. So I'll explain this. There's 3 points that we will learn today. So this first point we'll explain a little bit with the fadl of Allah, then we'll move on. So Hadra mentions by saying, okay, from the estate, the first right of the dead person, the deceased, is that out of his funeral expenses, you cover his cost. It is of course quite another matter. If somebody, let's say one person says, Nini, Abu passed away, he had this much money, don't touch his money, I as his son want to pay on his behalf. That's okay, there's nothing wrong in doing that. You can also pay for the expense of your father's kafan, dafan, ghusl, shroud, burial, bathing, etc. out of love and affection as a son or a child could have. However, ulama have mentioned, and this is the mas'ala of sunnah, if a wife dies, if a lady dies and she's survived by her husband, then it is the husband's responsibility to pay for all of her funeral expenses. This is the mas'ala of deen. It's very important we'll understand this. If a wife dies, the husband has to pay for her funeral expenses, and this is his responsibility, whether or not she has left behind herself a lot of estate, a lot of money, or nothing at all. The husband's job to go this. One point to keep in mind here, when somebody does pass away and it's time for his burial, his shrouding, and his kafan, dafan, etc., a person shouldn't be too extravagant, nor should he be too conjuice and miser. Balki he has to have the path of moderation. The path of moderation. For example, sometimes a person passes away and his qabr is made and there's not even a single sign that who has passed away here. There's no headstone made at all. Basic requirement, his name, date of death, etc. So people know who it is, so they come and make dua to his qabr. writing La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, writing Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, writing Ya Allah, writing Muhammad, writing Fat. This is all makruh. Why is it makruh? You've wrote it, you made a very nice fancy headstone, you've gone home, animals come, birds do drop-ins on Allah's name. Animals come, they could do peshab on Allah's name. You will get the guna for making this. So, sometimes in certain families, the person has the influence, he can stop them. Sometimes you can't, but you should explain the matter. This is makruh, you shouldn't do this. So one is being extreme miser, where you say, I'm going to do nothing. So nobody knows who's buried there at all. So nobody can go there for Fatiha. And the other extreme extravagance is where the person says, no, I love my father so much, I love my wife so much, I'm going to make such a qabr that stands out from every other qabr in Qabristan. So he makes like breeze blocks around, but then he makes like a pakki qabr, he makes it such, the headstone and marble all around and lights around and tinsels and a massive headstone where he spends thousands of pounds. This is also wrong in Sharia. This is israf. And even in his coffin, nobody should say, I'm going to get really expensive cloth for his coffin to bury him. I'm going to make sure I have the most expensive, spend as much money as I can on my father or my wife, for example, on her coffin. This is also wrong as well. Siddiq Akbar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, we learned from his life that when he was about to pass away, he made a wasiyyat. He said to the people around him, bury me in these very clothes that I am wearing. Don't buy me a coffin. Because the living people, those who are living, they are more in need of new clothes. I am going to pass away. The clothes I am wearing, bury me inside these very clothes. So this is the condition of such pious people. And similarly, shouldn't be too conjuice as well, not spending anything at all. So nowadays, it's true, you see people buy such expensive coffins and they spend lavishly on something which is going to decay inside the ground. So Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to realize this. That money where you're going to spend thousands on the headstone and thousands on the burial equipment, you can use that for Isali Swab for your father or for whoever passes away. So the first point, somebody's passed away and you have to pay for the bathing, the shroud, and the coffin. So for this you'll use from the money of the deceased person. Number two, then you look at the money left over. Any debts that person had in his life, you have to clear those debts. Let's say, for example, here Hazrat gives an example that after settling the funeral expenses, one will need to ascertain whether the deceased has left any unpaid debt. Scrutinize his diaries, his record books and his statements. Besides, people themselves will come and claim that the dead person owed me such and such amount. Sometimes when somebody passes away, we make elan कि किसी के ज़िम्मे कुछ पैसे हैं, लेन देन है, तो मुझसे बाद में मिल ले. Wherever my father owed some money or you owed him, meet me after namaz. We hear this announcement. This is to secure his debt. Otherwise, that person when going inside the qabr, his qabr can become a place of Jahannam if his debts are not fully accounted for. Because this is huququl ibad. Allah Ta'ala doesn't forgive what the people owe each other. This is the people's doing. Laying then amongst themselves, mu'amalat. So Allah Ta'ala, a person can get punished inside his qabr. Let's say, for example, if the father owed a person called Abdullah £1,000, so after his father has passed away, and Abdullah, his father wrote in his diary, I owe Abdullah £1,000. And his father passed away. Now this diary came in his son's hand. So Abdullah came and said, your father owed me £1,000. So you know it's written with you here. But you put the book away and say, give me proof my father owes you £1,000. Show me proof. So this will become a means of your father suffering inside his qabr. So it is very important to the penny. The person has to be particular in these halat. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. So settling the debt after a person passes away. So this is the first priority, cost for funeral. Second priority is the debts. Let's say, for example, a person passed away, he left behind him a house, £150,000. When you looked into how much he owed other people, it came to £150,000. If he did so, not a single person gets a penny from mirath and inheritance. Because the debt he was in, he has to pay for everything that he owed to other people. So, if somebody says, no, I'm going to take out my share from there. Whether he plays foul or fair, he doesn't bother. He takes out his share from there, even though his father owes somebody else money. But he says, no, that's my father's problem. I'm entitled to this mirath. I will take it. He himself will get guna for that, and that money will be haram upon himself. He's not allowed to use that money because Sharia demands that the debt that was upon his head, he has to pay that off. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to realize this also. So the example is that Hadra gives here, that when a debtor arrives to claim his money, which the deceased may have clearly written down, the reply is by the son, "Ke our late father never mentioned anything about this to us, therefore present your evidence." We have no proof that he owed you money. And a person, because the person can't usher any evidence, so you say, look, I can't give it to you, just your word of mouth, go away from here. So this is what will create problems for the father inside his qabr. And these sons equally will get punished for that, for doing khiyanat inside that wealth. So loyalty demands that children acknowledge and endeavor to clear any genuine debts that the father has left behind. The reply of loyal children should be, okay, although our father did not leave sufficient money with him to clear his debt. So we looked into our father's account, he's only got maybe £10,000, he was in debt £20,000, we his sons and daughters will pay on his behalf. This is what loyalty demands at that time. Not to it's Abu's problem, he's gone and he owed this much money. No, but you yourself take it upon yourself and you do it. And this is what good children do. And this is what, if a father has done tarbiyat of his children when he was alive with them, then you can expect your child to do this for you after you die. Think very carefully upon this. If your child is non-Islamic, if he's not practicing his deen, do you think he's going to care about you after you die? Will he? He won't care about you. Do you think he's going to put his hand in his pocket and pay £10,000 for you who's passed away? He won't. So it's really important that a father, he does tarbiyat and teaches his child adab whilst he's alive. Allah give us tawfiq. Many people, they don't know how to pray janazah. Their own fathers died, they don't know how to make janazah upon their father. How much can they benefit their father? What can they benefit their father? Those whose parents have passed away, how much do we give them benefit? Qadi Sanaullah Panipati says, Rahmatullah, the person inside the qabr is like a person drowning in an endless ocean. At all times he needs assistance and help through the means of Isali Sawab for him. How much Isali Sawab do we for people? How much times do I pray? But okay, forget, let's look at today. Those who have passed away, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your granddad, whoever it may be, how much have you prayed and sent for them? We haven't, because we don't care. And if that's the condition, when we die, my dear friends, the same will happen to us. Nobody will care about us, and we could be getting punished inside the qabr, and no one will know what is happening, and the qabr will not become a garden of paradise. Allah safeguard all of us. So make a routine, minimum, I've said this many times with the fadl of Allah, try to pray Surah Ikhlas at least 3 times a day, every single day, and Allah send the reward of this to every single Bani Adam who has passed away, from the first man on earth until the last day who died upon Iman. Allah will make system in such a way that when you die, Allah will make somebody remember you as well. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. So, if a child is taught adab by his father, then the child will be, yeah, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to clear my father's debt. I'm going to make sure I will look after my father. I read a qissa, going off my topic, very important though. Hadrat Mufti Abdul Rauf Sakarwi from Darul Uloom Karachi, Karangi, he's still mashallah mudarris there. He wrote a book called TV Ke Nuksanat. TV Ke Nuksan, the harms of TV. A father passed away, his son buried his father. His son 2 days later saw his father in a dream. Abu kya ho raha hai? He said, Beta, jab se main yahan aaya hoon, meri qabr dozakh bani hui hai. So he looked and he saw his father's qabr, snakes, scorpions, fire enveloping him. Abu kya wajah hai? Why is your qabr a pit of Jahannam? He says, Beta, before I passed away, I bought you a brand new TV set 1 week before I passed away. Each time you pick up that remote and you put it on, and you listen to music, you listen to filth, you listen to un-Islamic messages, you watch nudity and you see indecent scenes on the set, and you miss your namaz and you forget Allah, become ghafil by watching this, whenever you click it on, my azab starts in my qabr. Because I bought this for you. So Abu, what do you want me to do? Beta, if you can, please get rid of it. No problem. He woke up from the dream, frightened. This is mentioned by Mufti Abdul Mustaqim. He's alive. He's alive. He's living in Karachi. He's the Mudarris teacher of Darul Karangi in Karachi, where I went. Alhamdulillah, I went a few months ago myself. That Darul Uloom. He woke up, got the TV, smashed it in his backyard, and gave some sadaqah. Made some sadaqah for his father, Isali Swab, and he came back home. A few days later, again he saw his father. His father said, Jazakallah beta, Allah has now made my garden, my qabr, a garden of paradise. So this is how much you can benefit or cause harm to your parents. How much, balki one kitab I have read, again I'm going off my topic, but these are very important aspects. These, when they come inside the heart, is amanat and trust from Allah. I feel these should be mentioned. There was a lady whose son did kanjusi and bought her a very small, tight coffin. He had less money, or maybe he just wanted to use that money elsewhere. So he bought for his mother a coffin, very small and tight. He got her wrapped through by the ladies of the mahalla, and he buried, and he made dua, and he came home. He met his mother after a few days in his dream. So his mother said, "What?" He said, "Ami, how are you? Everything fine?" She goes, "I'm fine. You see, every such and such a night we all meet, all those who are dead, we have a place we meet together, but I don't come out to meet them." She says, "Why?" "Because my coffin is too small. I feel embarrassed coming out to meet them because my coffin is too small. So please better arrange for me a better coffin." So he asked the ulama of the area, the muftis, they dug up the qabr and they put an extra coffin over the lady, and then they buried her again. So these are qissas we hear. So stinginess is not allowed. And also being a means of causing pain and grief to your parents in their qabr, Allahu Akbar. If what goes round comes round. If we help people who have passed away today, we will see how we benefit. I've heard many times from our Hazrat, barakātuhum, he says, his father, Hafiz Ibrahim Dorad Sahib, rahmatullahi, very great saint of Leicester, he mentions that whenever he heard about anyone in Leicester, someone's passed away, someone's on the verge of death, he would stand on the main road, he would come out onto Melbourne Road, and he would, because everyone knew him, he was one of the first imams of Leicester, he would stop the car and say, "Take me to Qabristan, take me to this house, take me here." And he would go and make dua, go to the graveyard, attend the janazah, and say, "Do you know him?" He said, "I don't know him, but he's a Muslim, and it's the right of a Muslim to follow his janazah." And he would participate in every single janazah he could, which is a massive deed in itself. Hazrat says himself, when my father passed away, I would go to visit him in the graveyard at my father's qabr. So whoever would come to my father's qabr, obviously I would know them because they know my father and they know me. But he says, many times I went to my father's qabr, I would see such people standing there that I have never seen in my life before. Never seen in my life before. Why are they standing at my father's qabr? And then Hazrat says to himself, the answer came in my mind, that person who remembers the dead while he's alive, when he will die and be most in need, Allah will himself make an Islam for people to remember him also in the world. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. So teaching our children adab, beta, learn this, beta, learn this. Look, there's a hadith of Rasulullah he have mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لِأَنْ يُؤَدِّبَ الرَّجُلُ وَلَدَهُ, to teach your child, son or daughter, one word of adab. One word of adab, خَيْرٌ لَهُ مِنْ أَنْ يَتَصَدَّقَ بِصَاعٍ, is better for you than to spend 1 sa'a in charity. Sa'a is 3 liters, this much. To give this much charity is better for you to teach your child one word of adab. And what did Rasulullah also teach us? To instill this importance in our heart, he said, مَا نَحَلَ وَالِدٌ وَلَدَهُ مِنْ نَحْلٍ أَفْضَلَ مِنْ أَدَبٍ حَسَنٍ. No father has ever gifted his child, son or daughter, any gift better in the eyes of Allah than good adab. Good models. Better, this is how you sit. Better, this is how you talk. Better, this is how you meet. When a guest comes to the house, better, you don't run upstairs and lock the door. You sit down with them. You ask them, better, this is how you talk with people. Better, this is how you meet people. Better, this is how you bring the dastarkhan, you set dastarkhan. This is how you sit down. This is how you eat. You teach them these adab. Better, someone's passed away, let's go to the janazah. Better, somebody's ill, let's go to visit them, they're in the hospital. Teach them. This is called upbringing. How else will our children learn these things? And we look today, I've been, mashallah, serving this community for the last 15, 16 years, perhaps, possibly, Allah alam. I don't see many examples where somebody's ill in the hospital and he takes his son with him. Better come, I will show you how to visit a person. We don't teach our children these things. And then we say, okay, mehman come to my house and my son doesn't know how to talk with them. But you haven't taught him how to talk with mehman. How is he going to learn himself? I remember once I was in Blackburn and I was picking up Hazrat from another town. Okay, from Blackburn to bring to Burnley. And we came from Bolton to Blackburn and from Blackburn to Burnley. So others said, better come with me to the hospital. So I drove from there, because I'm going to show you how you meet a person who's ill in hospital. So how you go inside, how you meet with them, how you talk with them, how you give them words of strength, how you make them feel happy. When a person makes an ill person feel happy, half his illness goes away itself in their mental illness. So these things we don't know. And our children, they don't know. And their children, they won't know. And after, this will be finished. Nobody will visit anybody anymore. Allah Ta'ala make our Islam. So this is the second very important aspect. When somebody dies, his debts you have to pay off. So, if for example, if somebody's house was worth £50,000, he had debts of 45,000, then only 5,000 will be used as his mirath. So clearing the debts is the second right. And the third point upon which I will finish today is wasiyyat, bequest. So the person who dies, his money you use for his funeral expenses, baydin, shroud, kafan, dafan. Number 2, he cleared off all his debts to the penny. And number 3, wasiyyat, that person has a right to make wasiyyat in 1/3 of his money. So 33.3% he is allowed to make a wasiyyat. For example, he says, he will write in his will, upon my death I bequest 33.3% of my wealth to be given to such a person or such a madrasa or such an institution from my estate. He can't give any more than 1/3. And 1/3 is what Rasulullah has stipulated in the Shariat, which we find in the Shariat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But remember, you can't make wasiyyat, bequest, for those people who are inheritors. If you have a son or a wife and they're going to inherit money from your estate anyway, you can't make a wasiyyat, I will give 10,000 extra to my wife. You can't do that now. The moment your eyes close and you die, no one else has right in that money at all. Only Shariat has right in that money. No one has right. That money even to you doesn't belong anymore. Even to your wife it doesn't belong anymore. This now belongs to the inheritors, the waratha, and only what they decide the money can be allowed. That's why they say that one person, a Buzurg came to one person's house one day, and if I can remember correctly, and he sat down with a person who's about to die, and he had a lamp on, chiragh. He had a chiragh on, a lantern, and he's talking with him, praying kalima, and while sitting there, that person dies. The moment that person dies, this Buzurg takes off the lid and he blows out the candle. Blows the candle out. And it says to his murid, better go to my house on this street, I'll have a candle in my house, bring that candle, I will light that lamp now. So the people around said, Hazrat, what's the need of all this? He said, as long as he was alive, that belonged to him. The moment he died, he is no longer allowed to use that now. That belongs to his inheritors. And until we don't get permission from all the inheritors, that is not allowed to be used. If you do it, it's haram. This is what Sharia teaches us. Because that no longer belongs to him anymore. That belongs to his waratha, inheritors. If we use it, it's not jaiz. Until we get the permission of the inheritors. Therefore, do we do this in our lives? And this is what Islam is. Namaz, Islam is not just zikr and tilawat and dua and Quran. This is Islam, muamalat, muasharat, how to live. And this is what will save a person from the adab of the qabr. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to realize this. So learning this is so important. So the last point, like I said, is wasiyyat. The Rasulullah said in the hadith sallallahu alaihi wasallam, la wasiyyata li warithin, there is no wasiyyat for an inheritor. So wasiyyat can only be given to those who are not going to inherit. For example, if somebody died, he left behind him a wife, a son, daughter, and parents, then he can't give it to them, the wasiyyat. But if he has some brothers, he can give it to his brothers. But however, a mufti should be consulted before taking any sort of a decision. And always remember, here Hazrat mentioned by saying, okay, it only operates in 1/3 of his money. You can't make a was before I die, okay, I want to give half of my wealth to Masjid Farooq Azam after I die. You can't give a half, because all Sharia says only 1/3. 2/3 belongs to your inheritors. If they all collectively get together and say, we also want to give Abu's amount of money to Masjid Farooq Azam, then upon everyone's consent and permission, without any force, then they are allowed to do this. So Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to realize this. So finishing off now, as I mentioned, only these 3 points were today. So number one, when somebody passes away, first cover his funeral expenses. Number two, clear his debts. And number three, his wasiyyat should be done. Another important point here is, when somebody passes away, now we know anything that he owned now belongs to his waratha, his inheritors. So what happened, and this happens a lot in our communities, is he's passed away. Let's say Abdul Rahman has passed away. Relatives come to Abdul Rahman's house, the friends come to Abdul Rahman's house, his associates come to Abdul Rahman's house, and they do ta'ziyat. As we know, they console the dead person, both achad bitha, Allah forgive him, chalo fatiha, they do dua. And whilst sitting in their house, they will stay there. They come from, let's say, London or abroad, they'll stay 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then they'll eat there, they'll use the heating there, they'll use the water there, they'll sleep there, they'll get everything arranged for them. All of this sitting down, the expenses, what do they do at the end? Oh, chalo bhai, isko sab ka sab na, jo Abdul Rahman fort ho chuka hai, take it out of his account. This is also haram in Islam. You're not allowed to do this. You come to somebody's house, he's passed away, and then you're using his money for your own needs. Until you don't get permission of all of the inheritors, a person is not allowed to do this also. And many people do that. They just come and throw the bedding there and bags and say, okay, we stay in here for 2-3 days. This is wrong in Islam. We should have courtesy and concern for those people who are bereaving the person who has passed away. Another thing our Hazrat mentions here is, even in the funeral expenses, when somebody has died, let's say Abdul Rahman has passed away, somebody may say, I'm going to buy the most expensive bathing equipment, I'm going to buy the best towels, I'm going to buy the best shroud, the best soap, the best perfume, I'm going to make sure the plot of the Qabristan has to be the best one. Here it's a bit waterlogged, here it's a bit sandy, I'm going to get the one which is really nice. And who's going to pay for it? From that dead person's account. And he's left behind small children who are going to be inheritors soon. So you've used up all this money on extravagance, and you deprived his children. Remember, if a father passes away and his son is nabaligh, meaning he hasn't reached the age of puberty, he's a yatim, an orphan. So when the father dies, that son is an orphan yatim. And Allah Ta'ala has clearly mentioned in the Quran, and what you're doing there is, you come to somebody's house, you use up his money, you spend extra money, extravagance, and you deprive that orphan. Allah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا. Those people who eat up the property of the orphans unjustly. This was not your right, it is the son's right. What will happen? إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا. They are eating fire inside their bellies. Allah has warned us. وَسَيَصْلَوْنَ سَعِيرًا. And soon they shall enter inside a blazing fire. So if somebody passes away, you don't take advantage of everything around him until you get permission from the people of the household. Here Rasulullah has mentioned a hadith finishing off on this topic. يُبْعَثُ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ الْقَوْمُ فِي قُبُورِهِمْ تَأَجَّجُ أَفْوَاهُهُمْ نَارًا. On the day of Qiyamah, the group of people shall be raised from their qabr. Fire will be belching out of their mouth. Fire will be leaping out of their mouth. قِيلَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ مَنْ هُمْ? The Sahaba asked, who are these people, Ya Rasulullah? He said, قَالَ أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ قَالَ. Have you not heard what Allah said in the Quran? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا وَسَيَصْلَوْنَ سَعِيرًا. Those people who eat the property of the orphans unjustly, this is the anjam, the consequence of the evil deeds. So we have to be very particular, very careful about how to use the property of those after they have passed away, not to do extravagance, not to have any unnecessary expenses of hosting and feeding people and having, Allah maaf kare, another point comes to my mind. Nowadays, I don't know where this trend has come from, but I hope, inshallah, those listening here, maybe those who will listen after, maybe those listening at home, we can put a stop to this. In janazas now, when people come for ta'ziyat, and this is tajribah I have seen myself, the wedding is similar to a wedding feast. The food is similar to a wedding feast. You have full course meals. Allahu Akbar. Who's paying for this? How is this jais? Full course meal in which dessert is included as well. But if somebody has died, he's in the qabr, he needs your attention, he needs isali sawab, he needs someone to come and pray at his headside and seek his forgiveness, and we sitting in ta'ziyat, ha ha, hoo, laughing, joking, giggling, eating desserts. I have seen this many times. You've all seen this, we've all seen this, and none of us speak out against it. And the person who speaks out against it, they say, but you're a strange person. Why are you messing up the mahal of this area? Everyone's come together at this occasion. You're messing it up. But you're messing this up. This isn't about you meeting him or having a lavish feast. Or, bhai, roti mangwa. All you hear, janaze, roti mangwa, bhai, salan laika rao, bhai, dekh laika rao. You've seen people do it. Jaise kisi ki shadi ho rahi hai. And the person, bhai, he's in the grave, he needs your attention. You forgot all about him. How much have you prayed for him in 3 days that's helped him, and how much have you fed your stomach in 3 days? You wait yourself and you will see what is. Our Hazrat mentions, dāmat barakātuhum, he goes, आजकल का माहौल तो ऐसा हो चुका है, he goes, आप कब्रिस्तान में जाओ, तदफीन के मौके पर, when somebody is being buried, और वहाँ खड़े होकर, यूँ आँखों को बंद कर लो, close your eyes. He says, you can't tell the difference whether you're in a walima hall or inside a qabristan. People are laughing, joking, on their mobile phone talking. Somebody's being buried. He's going through the trial, the biggest trial now. And we there laughing, joking. And what's going to happen to us when we go in the qabr? Sahaba Ikram, what would they say? Okay, when I die, make sure none of you leave. Stand there next to my qabr. How long? As long as it takes a time to slaughter a camel, skin the camel and distribute its meat, for that much amount of time, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, stand at my graveside and keep praying for me. Keep praying for me. Why? Because after you leave and 40 steps you will take, Munkin Nakir are going to come down. A Munkin Nakir, ferocious, Allahu Akbar. Their faces, the eyes and their mace and their hair and their teeth and the clothes, how Rasulullah has described for us. And how they will beat up that person. And there's somebody new, we don't know them. They don't know us. So when they come to you and say, Man Rabbuka, who is your Rabb? And you're all alone, what are you going to say to him? You'll be fearful. So he says, please, stand on my graveside. So when they're asking me questions, you can keep sending in sawab and isali sawab for me. Send in strength for me. Send in some good deeds and isali sawab and Quran and dhikr. So when they are asking me questions, I won't be that afraid because I know you're standing next to me as well. What happens now? किसी का जनाजा होता ही फौरन वहां से भागते हैं हम और जाते क्यों हैं हम अक्सर क्यों जाते मैं जरा जो the people who passed away, his sons and brothers and sisters, I want to show my face to them कि भाई I also came to your janaza as well. This is our intention. Allah Ta'ala safeguard all of us from this. Give us tawfiq to make amal upon what our Hazrat has mentioned in this kitab, and give all of us the tawfiq to realize the reality of somebody passing away from this world. All of us are going to go through this stage. All of us. Hazrat Umar used to say, there's adab of Qabristan, and he said one adab is, you have to be humble in the Qabristan. Humble. You shouldn't laugh, you shouldn't eat, you shouldn't talk loud. There's a way of walking in Qabristan, there's a way of sitting in Qabristan. Allahu Akbar. We've lost all these etiquettes because we don't think about death anymore, nor do we feel that one day I am going to be buried like this as well. So Allah Ta'ala give me the tawfiq, give all of us tawfiq to make amal upon what has been said. And last week, if you remember, I mentioned that everyone make fikr to write the Islamic will. I mentioned this a lot last week, and some brothers, mashallah, have made an effort and they have started. So make sure you have an Islamic will. Rasulullah said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is not permissible, Bukhari Sharif hadith, it is not jais for my ummati to pass 2 days or 2 nights except that he has his last will ready with him all the time. So even 2 days of my life should not pass except that I have a will. Because if you pass away, there's no will written, nobody knows what to do with your wealth, nobody knows what your intentions were, how much you owed somebody, how much somebody owes you. When you go inside the qabr, there'll be gadbar inside the qabr, there'll be masala inside the qabr, and there could be punishment inside the qabr. So even to the, Mufti Muhammad Shafi Sahib, final point now, I'll close the book so you know I'm saying the final point. Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Shafi Sahib, what degree did he go to? Even if he owned, Allahu Akbar, a pen, he even wrote down where he bought the pen from. If he had a book, he would write, this book belongs to me, this pen belongs to me, this surma dani belongs to me, these shoes belong to him, this shawl belongs to her. Everything was documented inside his house. Every single thing was documented. Ulama has, even to the degree of a pen, was written down. So the moment that person passes away, you know who belongs to what. You take out the hisab kitab, what belongs to the inheritors or what doesn't. And why do we have this system in place? So somebody may say, no, this is silly. Why should you do all this? It's only to avoid problems afterwards. Only to avoid. Father passed away. He left his £5,000 car behind. The son says, this car is mine now. This Audi is mine. One son says, no, but I put £1,000 in with it as well. The other son will say, no, I put £3,000 in it. Maybe where's the proof? What's written there? Nobody knows. There'll be fights. No, this car is mine. I inherited this car. No, I inherited this car. So this is why everything in Islam should be documented. Allah Ta'ala give all of us tawfiq, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala give me the tawfiq to make amal upon what has been said, and all of us wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ma alayna illa al-balagh. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.